Well, happy, beautiful, amazing day. Dr. Bob Rakowski here, wellness transformation expert with Miss Veronica Cubarle. We're halfway across the world. She's over in Switzerland. We're going to have a fun conversation. Some things I learned immediately about Miss Veronica is she follows her passion. She knows life is too short to not follow your passion. So she has a day job and then she has a calling, a vocation, a passion. And Veronica, what is that passion and how did you get that vocation and calling? Let's share with the world.
Thanks for having me. First of all, it's a pleasure to be here. Um, I've always been into fitness. I've started, when I was like 10 years old, like doing gymnastics, and then until like I was 13, 14. Then, it was the 80s and I went into aerobics. And then when I started college, it was like mainly like running, biking. I've always practiced sports. I've been very active. So, and I've always liked taking care of myself. I have a huge respect and admiration for the human body. To me, it's an amazing machine, and we take it for granted. Most people take it for granted, and I have, admiration and respect. So it's only natural for me to take care of my body. And I would really would love to teach women and to guide women so that they can learn to do the same. Especially now, I am menopausal, so yeah, it was kind of an evidence, to keep like studying and reading and acquiring knowledge about what our bodies are going through in this stage of life.
So let's talk about that. What did you learn? What is your body going through? And what did you do about it to make it better and smoother?
Actually, it was in my mid 40s that I started feeling kind of disconnected, from my body, because I started like feeling things that were not normal for me. And it's funny because it's only like 10 years ago, and we didn't have access to that much knowledge like we do nowadays. 10 years ago, we didn't know that much about menopause. So I noticed I didn't have the most common symptoms of menopause, like the night sweats, the hot flashes, the brain fog. So I didn't really know that I was going through perimenopause. But then when I started getting interested and learning about it, I actually realized that I had a lot of other symptoms back then, and I had no idea that they were related to menopause. So one day I had my appointment with my gynecologist, and she said, "Okay, it's been 12 months without your period, so you're officially in menopause." I said, "Okay, so what now?" And that's when I started, like getting more and more interested in menopause. And that's why when I'm talking about empowerment, it's so important to know what your body is going through. Otherwise, yeah, you feel powerless, and that's how I felt back then.
What symptoms were you experiencing?
It was mainly brittle nails, um, palpitations, which was really scary because I had never had that, and I thought I was having problems with my heart attack. I said, "Why is this? Where is this coming from?" Tingling around my feet, kind of like electrical shocks in my ankles, kind of weird stuff. I said, I did not understand. And or like dry skin, you know. I said, okay, I need to find out where all this is coming from. And and it was, a few years later that I started studying to become a fitness and nutrition coach, and then decided to specialize in menopause. First of all, to understand what was going on with my body. And I said, okay, if I don't know, I'm sure there's so many women out there that are going through the same and that need maybe guidance or need to talk to someone about what they're going through.
What I'd like to encourage people to do, and you said a lot of things that are very, very powerful. If you understand what's happening, and what a lot of people need to know is that these steroid receptors, the estrogen, the progestin, the androgen receptors in both the male and female body are everywhere. They're essentially in nearly every tissue type of the body. So when hormones start dropping, those symptoms would not make most people think of menopause. But now, how did you resolve those symptoms? Did you resolve it? What did you do differently? What did you learn? And what were the best choices that you made since then?
First of all, I started taking HRT as recommended by my gynecologist. And not that I started making lifestyle changes, because I've always, had a very healthy lifestyle. I've always practiced sports. I've always been mindful about my nutrition. So it was mainly HRT that made a huge difference. And it's true. You mentioned estrogen receptors, and that we have them all over our bodies. And I also noticed that my ears started ringing, tinnitus, and that's another typical symptom of menopause. And I had no idea why. Especially at night when everything is calm and there's no noise, it's like you start your ears ringing and said, where's this coming from? So even though we cannot make all the symptoms magically disappear, we can improve them. And even some of them can be reversed, like osteoporosis, with the right fitness program, with the right exercises. So there is a lot of things that we can do, but obviously we cannot make disappear all of the symptoms.
Now, do you mind saying which hormones are you taking? And are they bioidentical? Have you looked into that?
Yes, it's mostly estrogen, progesterone, and DHEA.
Okay, good choices. So what I like to tell people is, as the female approaches menopause, what happens very, very simply is that the ovaries are no longer working. So I often tell the story. The Swedish term for ovaries is egg stalkers. And that's what they do. They stock eggs. So when you were in your mother's womb, you might have had somewhere near 10 million eggs, somewhere between 7 and 10 million eggs in your ovaries. By the time you were born, you were down to 3 million. By the time you're 37, you're down to 25 million. By the time you're 52, there's no more eggs. And then the egg stalkers close shop. So the ovaries stop making the hormones. They stop making estrogens, progestins. They stop ovulating. But the body still gets the sex steroids, and the tissues that need it make it from DHEA. So right. That's actually considered physiologic hormone replacement of choice. Now, a lot of times doctors here, they're going to give estrogen, they're going to give progestin, they're going to give testosterone, they're going to give DHEA, and they're going to give thyroid, because all of those work together. Did your doctor discuss ways of solving that without using the hormones by any chance?
She suggested for me to start taking hormones. She didn't we had the conversation. And it's true that at a certain point, I said, okay, I had already, I think it was I was a year and a half into the hormone treatment. And I said, okay, I'm going to stop the treatment for 3 months and see how my body reacts. And I started noticing lots of symptoms coming back, and especially the sleep, lack of sleep, the quality of sleep, which to me is essential. Without good quality sleep, I cannot function properly. And I said, okay, that is a non-negotiable for me. And I went back into hormone therapy, and so I decided to stop it myself. I really wanted to see how my body would react without the hormones. And we didn't like it one bit.
So one thing that I'll tell you is that I have plenty of patients. My office is called the Natural Medicine Center, and people say, I want my body to regulate itself. And oftentimes you can, but one of the ways to get ladies in menopause, prevention trumps cure. The adrenal glands are going to make DHEA. The tissues are going to make the sex steroids. They make it from DHEA. And if the adrenals are in good shape, then you can have a smooth transition. or the stressors of life can make it a more challenging transition. Sponsor break real quick. We are sponsored by bettercoffeeshop.com. This won the award as the world's best organic coffee. We also have tea. By the way, it is also one of my favorite biohacks to make menopause more smooth. Bettercoffeeshop.com. Go do the one box challenge. 100% money back guarantee. Bettercoffeeshop.com. All right. So you took that 3-month challenge. That's a pretty long time and a reasonable time to give it. How soon after you stopped the hormones did you start feeling the symptoms?
After I stopped, I would say like 2 or 3 weeks.
And then they started coming back.
And they started coming back, and I said, okay, it didn't feel right to me. I've always been like a heavy sleeper
Mhm.
before the menopause, and the way my sleep quality was impacted, I said, okay, this is not gonna work for me. So yeah, that was the main symptom actually for me. Yeah.
Sure. All right, so let's talk about sleep for just a moment. So, one, sleep is very, very complicated. There's a wonderful book called Why We Sleep. I recommend it. Every animal species sleeps, period, end of story. We can't get by without it. Now, as we approach menopause, and by the way, I don't know, one of my jokes is, I don't know why they call it menopause, because men get it, because women get it too, right? But in men, we call it andropause. But if our gonads, if the ovaries in the female or the testes in the male are not making the hormones, then the adrenal glands have to make more DHEA. Now, the adrenal glands also make the stress hormones, and they have a huge impact on the hypothalamus. And if there's a stress response, the body actually shuts down the production of sex hormones and thyroid hormones to prioritize stress hormones. So one of the best things that people can do is a stress reset, which I've lectured about that time and time again. But now that you've got certified, now that you're coaching women, tell me what your starting point is. One, who's your ideal client? How do they find you? What's your process? What do they start with, and where do they ultimately want to get to?
It really depends, because women, they go through their own menopause experience. Some women come to me and said, I have like big amount of belly fat that I cannot get rid of. Other women tell me, I just would like to get stronger, or to feel more confident about my body, about the way I feel about my body. So it's a very personal journey. So of course we discuss about goals, and we start by, little by little, because the first thing that many women tell me, I would like to acquire new habits. Can you help me with that? Because they are aware that change does not happen overnight. You have to adapt your lifestyle, and that takes some time. And it's true that some women are willing to invest the time it takes to acquire new habits. Some other women are maybe less patient. So we discuss on a personal basis and see what their goals are. But it's mainly gaining strength, feeling more confident about their bodies, managing weight, and the general symptoms of menopause. So we come up with a personalized plan. And even though I am not a certified nutritionist, I can guide them through the basics of nutrition. There are things that are out of my scope of practice, but I can guide them or direct them to the right people.
Well, here's what I can tell you. Nutrition education in this part of the world is terrible. Someone who's healthy, who understands health, I'd take their advice anytime. And you clearly have this beautiful picture of health about you. So what type of nutrition advice do you give them?
Mostly try to banish ultra processed foods. Eat as fresh as they can. To start reading the labels of the food they buy. If they have like more than maybe two, three ingredients maybe to be avoided. It's like fresh meat, fresh vegetables, fresh fruit, a lot of protein because it's essential for building muscle, which we know it is the organ of longevity, and that it's essential for bone strengthening to address osteoporosis, osteopenia, and osteoporosis. So yeah, and well, of course, managing alcohol. Some because what I've noticed is that women in their like 50s, even though alcohol has we know the negative effects it has on our bodies, it's the age where women tend to drink the most, mainly due to, I don't know, depression or stress. And so we always talk about ways of handling alcohol.
I want to take a little tangent on that. So, by the way, alcohol has some health benefits, but it's at very low dose. So I tell people that drink a little live longer than people that don't drink anything, but people that drink the most die the earliest. So what they know is if someone doesn't have a breast cancer risk, the ideal dose of alcohol for women is one drink a day, not more than that. But if they have a breast cancer risk, one drink every 10 days is where they want to go. Now, you talked about belly fat, and I've taught about weight loss, weight management, body composition. And there's plenty of experts that say, well, you can't spot reduce. That's not entirely true. We store fat based on our hormonal balance. And when the body's under stress, that's when you get belly fat. So it would make sense that women are having more challenges with menopause would get more belly fat because their adrenal glands, their anti-stress glands, are not working very effectively. So, when you start talking about using foods that have one or two ingredients or three, right? Why not just one? Meat is just meat. Lettuce is just lettuce.
Exactly.
Spinach is spinach. Kale is kale. And so we're beginning to see, and by the way, food in Europe is much better here. So you are in Switzerland. That part's good.
Right.
Now, how do women find you? Is this an online presence? Are you posting things consistently? How are you building your market?
Well, it's mainly through my website, and I'm also on Instagram. I do not post consistently on Instagram, maybe like twice a week. But yeah, the best way to reach out is through my website.
Okay. Now, are you putting out content? Are you trying to educate? Are you trying to attract the population? So you said this is your passion project. So tell me, why are you passionate about it, and how's it paying off for you?
Passionate because talking about empowerment. And to me, empowerment is like this process of getting to know, what's going on with you, learning actually. And because when you learn, when you know what's going on with your body, you're better equipped to make decisions about it and to advocate for yourself and have like better conversations with your healthcare provider. If you don't know what your body's going through, what can you talk about? And I always, laugh because the word empowerment became kind of a buzzword in the last few years, but it's a concept that it's not new. I think it was, correct me if I'm wrong, Francis Bacon, who said, I love this quote, knowledge is power. And that's exactly what it is. When you know, you can make better decisions about your life, about, your goals. You set your life or your health for success. So it's not a new concept. And to me, that's essential. Just knowing what your body's going through. And that's why I like to talk. I talk to people around me. That's mostly how I market myself. To talking to my friends, family, work colleagues, and that's how I'm getting the word out there. So I think that's yeah.
Well,
I'm not good at marketing myself. That's another skill. Talking about empowerment, that's a skill I need to learn.
well, you know what? Maybe we have something that can help you with that. So, but bottom line is, if you're putting out content every day, they have this thing called attraction marketing. And if you just start something every day that says, "Hey, I'm here to help. This has been my path. Maybe I can help you." There's a quote I like, and it is, "The person that we're best suited to help is the person we used to be." So whatever
Absolutely.
challenge you've overcome, so you've gone through that perimenopause, menopause years, you learned the lessons, and now you're paying it forward in a beautiful way. So, if you were to give yourself a brand name, like I originally came up with all things health, happiness, and success, and I realized that was too broad. Then wellness transformation, that might be too broad. If you were to give yourself a brand, have you thought about that? What would that brand be? Would it be menopause guider? I don't know. Interesting
I,
thought.
I would say it's the name of my website, actually.
Which is like
It's
fit and well, or
the Fit and Well Life.
okay, yeah.
Because that's what the whole thing is about. I mean, life is not worth living if we're not, like, well. It's like to live, like, yeah, I mean, a joyful life. You need to be well, fit and well. So, and I like the word life in the name of my brand.
So you have your main job, and then you have your
Right.
side hustle, which is your passion and helping people get better. Now, in the U.S., I think the stat is over half of the population has a side hustle, probably because they need the money. But your side hustle is because you're passionate about it. So if you were to talk to someone about starting a side hustle, what advice would you give them?
It depends on the side hustle. It depends on why you want to start a side hustle.
I think that's a good conversation.
Exactly. Yes. I think that if passion drives you, you go ahead and do it. If you need an extra income, of course you can go ahead and do it. But it's just go for it. Go for it, because if you don't try, you might be regret it later. And you learn. You learn. As my psychiatrist used to say, um, you learn anyway. If you fail, because we know that we don't fail, we learn from our mistakes. So at least you would have learned, like, so many things: to set up a website, to set up a coaching business. There's nothing to be lost. So go ahead and do it. And we're here to learn. That's what life is about.
Well, that's my
And
curiosity. When did you set up the website? When did you decide to become certified in coaching? I mean, most women, perimenopause, menopause years, you're not looking for something new to do. So how did that become such a strong drive for you? And talk me through the process. And if someone wanted to do the same thing, what would they do?
I started with the first training. It was like 3 years ago. And when I finished that, I started the menopause certification. And it was during that time that I said, okay, why not setting up a website where people can get in touch with me, and I can, like, help or guide women go through this menopause journey. Because we all need a coach or someone to guide us, if we want to, like, move forward and learn, and someone to keep us accountable. So it is super important. And that was the main drive, like, yeah, to start my business and my online coaching. And this one thing that I forgot to mention is that, and I think it happens to many women in their late 40s or during menopause. I was officially diagnosed with ADHD, and it was actually after my two daughters were diagnosed. I said, what if there is, like, genetic component. So I started reading, getting informed, and that's where I made an appointment with a psychiatrist specialized in ADHD, and he followed me for a few months, and he officially diagnosed me with ADHD, and it made so much sense. It like brought so much clarity into my life, because I all throughout my school years, when I was in school, in college, and even it's something that followed me in my professional life. I felt, oh, that's how I was made to feel. Maybe, that I was slow, that I didn't understand why people around me seemed to understand, like, things easily, and I didn't. It wasn't for me. It wasn't like that. So I felt like slow. I said, "How come I'm not getting this?" And then it became so obvious, and that when you're ADHD, if you're not interested in something, you cannot focus, and it still happens to me. But on the other hand, when you are like super interested in something, you can hyper focus, and so that actually started making so much sense and made me understand why all throughout my life I had like behaved or reacted in the ways that I had. So, and again, that was empowering,
You
knowing
know,
that I had that, and actually I became a lot more patient and compassionate towards myself.
that might be the best gift ever. I was at a brain seminar over 30 years ago, and the brain researcher said that everybody is at least as great a genius as Leonardo da Vinci, who they considered the greatest genius of all time. He said it was a complete fallacy to ask people, how smart are you? The question is to ask you, how are you smart? So you're smart in terms of moving your body, in terms of connecting with people, and in terms of connecting with your passion. But sometimes if people have a different learning style, and there may be, everybody's learning style may be as unique as to them, even though there's probably some major categories there. So how wonderful that you found your path and you found the truth that when you're interested in something, it's all encompassing.
Right.
So now, how wonderful. If people want to get a hold of you, what's the best way for them to do that?
Through my website, the Fit
Okay.
and Well Life, the Fit and Well .life, or on Instagram with the same name.
Thefitandwell.life.
Right.
Now, do you have a fun goal? If you could say, okay, here's what I want to achieve in 2025. Have you thought about that? How many women, how many families do you want to impact? What type of mark do you want to leave in this coming year?
My goal is to work full time on my coaching business. That's the big 2025 goal. Maybe slowly quit my job or work a little bit less to be able to devote more time to my coaching business, to yes, to impact more women, and it's something that gives me satisfaction, you know. So
Good.
and I need that in my life. Yeah.
Good for you. Well, you know what? I think you've given a lot of empowering information, and just your example is empowering. Life is too short for us not to do what we want to do, enjoy what we want to enjoy. And remember what Martin Luther King said, we can all be great because we all can serve. And you found your niche and your passion to serve. And I'm super proud of you. I'll wrap up in a moment or two, but any final words for our listening audience today?
Yes, absolutely. That it's never too late to start prioritizing your health. And, you know, um, prioritizing your health is super important because you will be independent later in life. And that's another a big thing for me, independence and autonomy. And those two things are empowering. I'm talking about myself, but I wouldn't like to become a burden to my children when I get older. And that's one of the reasons why I do this. So
Well,
it's never too late to start taking care of yourself.
you know what? You have given so much great information here. And the one thing I really like most about what I heard is you keep people accountable. And with accountability, people can succeed with just about anything. So I'm going to wrap it up right now with these words. I'm Dr. Bob Rakowski, absolutely knowing that we can all be happy, healthy, and successful. And Veronica, thank you for finding your passion and especially for paying it forward to our wonderful world.